Well, welcome to Inner Abundant Mindset. Today, we have a great guest, and we're going to be talking about happiness and what is happiness and how does it work with your mindset. So let's get into the call and let's learn all about Jacqui. So Jacqui Letran is a multi-award winning author, an international speaker, a nurse practitioner, and the founder of Teen Confident Academy, and soon to be released podcast, Stop the Bully Within. Boy, don't we need that.
Yes.
She teaches that success and happiness are achievable regardless of current struggles and circumstances. As a gifted and energetic leader, Jacqui dedicates her life's work to helping her clients and students transform their inner critic into their best friend, cheerleader, and personal champion for success. Wow, that's great. Well, welcome, Jacqui.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on today. This is going to be such a fun talk. I can't wait.
I know. I'm really excited because these are my two favorite topics, happiness and mindset. I mean, this is going to be really exciting. So I'm kind of curious. Tell me about the day that you decided something happened to you and you go, I can't do this anymore. And you probably had to make that shift where you said, in my language, it'd be, I'm miserable, unhappy, depressed, and I'm not taking it anymore. I want to be happy. So tell me about the day when you had that great transformation.
Yeah, I know the exact date and almost the time if you want to know.
Wow.
May 25th, 1989, probably around 3 p.m. That's how specific I am with that. So misery and depression were definitely, something that I wore like, a coat of armor for a very long time until that day. And the reason I remember that day and that moment so well is because that was the moment I looked into my son's eyes for the very first time. I was 16 years old and I just gave birth. Well, I gave birth at 1, but being 16, I passed out, went to sleep, and met him at 3. And the moment I look into his eyes, I felt this intense love. This love that I didn't even know was even possible, that could even exist. And in that moment, when I looked at him, something changed within me. And I knew it was up to me to do something about it, to really break the cycle of self-hatred, of depression, of poverty, so that I can give this little being the life that he truly deserved. Because just looking at him, I have never, ever experienced that kind of love. And I want to be able to be worthy of that love.
Wow. That is really impressive. And so from there, you had to go through changing your mindset and probably clearing some emotions to bring in the happiness. How did you do that?
Well, I'm not going to say it was easy. I wish that journey was, but it was a very difficult journey of really learning to discover things about myself that I actually liked, and really developing that mindset where I can actually accept that I am a good person, that I have these amazing qualities, and that I am deserving. And the first step that I took was reading a whole lot of self-help books. I read every single book that I can get my hands on. I just consume and consume and consumed.
Now, did you have a favorite book, one that you go, oh my God, this is my favorite?
As a teenager, with the beginning part of my journey, I did not really identify with one. But down the road, later on, probably in my late 20s, I read Dr. Gary Chapman's five questions. No, what is that called? 5 love languages. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And that was such an eye opener for me. But because before then, I didn't realize that people give love and receive love in different ways. I just know how I felt love. And if I did not get that thing, I would say that person doesn't love me or that person doesn't value me. And all the while they're expressing their love in their own way, and they're getting frustrated with me because how can she not see that, I'm doing all of these things because I love her? And just so reading that book and recognizing that, we are all very, very different in how we receive and how we give love, and just being willing to have the conversation with your loved one, whether it's your romantic partner, your brother, your sister, your children, your parents, whoever is important in your life, having those conversations with them and letting them know, when I do this, it means I love you. Because people might not get it. Or, like sometimes I need you to do this for me, because when I'm feeling a certain way, these things that you do makes me feel so loved and so safe. And would you be willing to do that? And when I start having those conversations with the people in my life, things change dramatically for me.
I bet they did. And so I know that you're this great author. Are you writing a new book, or did you write a few books? What are your books about?
So I have 3 books out, and I write for teens. And the content within the books, they relate to anybody. Anybody can read my books and really benefit from it. But I wrote for teens because I remember being that scared 15, 16-year-old girl and not having the resources I need and consuming everything I could when I was 16. And most everything, when back then anyway, there's more options now. But back when I was starting my journey, the majority of the content were geared towards adults. And there were not a whole lot of teen specific. I mean, even today, if you go into a bookstore, if anybody goes into bookstores anymore and goes into the self-help section, you can see like tons and tons and tons of self-help books for adults.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you see a bunch of options for kids, but the teenagers are often ignored. It's such an underserved community. And so when I wrote these books, I wrote them for teens. But again, the content applies to anybody because it's the same principle. The first one is called 5 Simple Questions to Reclaim Your Happiness. And it's super simple. I mean, everything I do, I really like to break it down to very simple forms. And it is really about, you are in charge of your happiness and you can choose to be happy. And these are 5 questions you can use to help yourself learn to let go of emotions and choose happiness for yourself. The second book is called I Would, But My Damn Mind Won't Let Me.
Oh, I love the title.
I did too. I did not come up with that brilliant title. It was my clients, actually. As I'm working with clients, I see a lot of one-on-one clients. I would ask them like, you have this particular goal and you're so passionate. What's stopping you? And I would get a variation of, I would, but my damn mind won't let me. Right.
Yeah.
And after hearing that so many times, I'm like, that's my book title.
Yeah.
And the third one is, I just launched November 15th. And that is the third in the series. It's called Unleash Your Inner Superpowers. And I truly believe that we were born with everything that we need right up here in our mindset, right? And so this particular book really teaches readers what the inner superpowers are and how they can tap into the inner superpowers to really create that life that they so want and deserve. And the third book is more workbook style because I really want readers to be able to go through these very simple exercises and really understand themselves and how these powers work.
So if we want to be happy and we have this mindset or this negative emotion, how do we get over this negative emotion so we can get happy?
It's a great question. And, people wonder if happiness really is a choice. And I would have to say, yes, happiness is a choice. And if you have these emotions that you don't want, you have to choose happiness for yourself. You have to know that that is a possibility. Second is you have to take responsibility for your own happiness. You have to take 100% responsibility for your own happiness. A lot of people, what they do is, if so-and-so didn't do that, I would be so happy, right? Or so-and-so did that and now I'm upset or now I'm hurt or now I'm whatever. Well, the thing is, no one can make you upset or hurt or angry. That is a choice you do have. So if you have an emotion that you don't want, the first book I have, the 5 Simple Questions to Reclaim Your Happiness, really takes you through 5 simple questions to help you to understand your emotion and to let them go. But I think the really important first step is recognizing you do, in fact, have a choice and you do have 100% responsibility for your own happiness.
Yes, that's true. And I was recently studying with somebody And they were saying the only thing we have control over in life is our own mindset and our thoughts, and then our emotions. Because our thoughts, if we keep thinking, oh, I'm happy, then all of a sudden our emotion is happy. But if we're thinking, oh, I'm sad, then all of a sudden the emotion is sad. So by our thinking, we have control over our emotions. And I think you're right. A lot of people don't know that they have this control, and it gets them all in inks and kind of messed up. So how do we stop our mind from running amok on our emotions?
And it goes back to the same answer that I gave you for the first question. And that is just understanding that we do, in fact, have control, right?
Yeah.
So our mind, the way that I describe it to my client is our mind is like our little assistant. Whatever command you give your assistant will carry it out for you. So the problem with most people is that they don't recognize the power of their words. Whatever words you use to say out loud or in your own mind, those are the commands you're giving to your assistant. And so if you're thinking, I'm so angry, what you're doing is you're giving your assistant the command of, I want to be angry. Look for reasons for me to be angry. I want to have this experience right now. So when your mind hears you give that command, what it's going to do, it's going to look around your environment. Anything that can make you angry, it's going to focus your full attention on those things. And it's going to go back into past experiences, things that make you angry in the past. It'll start replaying those so that you start thinking about it again. And all of a sudden, you went from being a little angry to a lot more angry to overwhelmingly angry to blowing up at the people you love. And seconds later going, oh my gosh, I did it again. What happened, right? And it's because, again, your mind is like your assistant. And whatever command you give through your words, your mind will give you that experience. Our thoughts create our reality. So changing your thoughts definitely can change your reality.
Yes. And what science is now proving too is that if you keep thinking this thought over and over again, all of a sudden the emotion gets embedded in your cells, and now the body is the memory. Isn't that fascinating?
It is, but I think there's one little step that you're missing from that is so incredibly important.
Which is?
And it explains why affirmation doesn't work for a lot of people. Okay. And so the words you use are important, but the emotion that's attached to it is even more important. So let's say, you're angry at your significant other and you're sitting there is like, I'm happy because you're really trying to get to happy. But all of that I just did, I'm happy. None of that was happy energy, right?
Right.
And so the mind actually doesn't listen to your word as much as your energy.
Yes.
So when you're looking to create that change, you have to imagine yourself being that way already to produce that energy, because words don't really matter if the energy doesn't match. And I'll give you an example to make that a bit clearer. So let's say you and I are best friends, and the words that, we call each other, can I say cuss word on your show?
Yeah. yeah.
If you and I are best friend and we call each other bitches, and I say, hey, bitch, let's go grab lunch. How are you going to feel?
Oh, well, typically in that kind of state, it'd be like, yeah, okay, let's go.
Right.
Because it's a happy, yes. Compatibility.
But the word bitch is not a happy word, is it?
No.
But because you and I are best friend and that's how we talk to each other, when we say, hey, bitch, we actually feel that connection, that energy we give is of affection. But now if I'm somebody who don't know you well and whatever, and I say, hey, bitch, why don't we go grab lunch? How does that feel?
Oh, wow. She doesn't like me and she wants to have lunch. Now I'm confused.
Right. Or just anything, right? Or like, okay, so not lunch, move bitch when we're best friend versus move bitch when we don't know each other. Right. And it becomes something completely different. So really pay attention to the energy you're giving off and the intention behind your words. So going back to why affirmation doesn't work, if you really hate yourself like I did when I was a teenager, and I can tell myself, I love you, all it's going to do is send the opposite energy out, because when I say it, I don't feel it. I feel
Right.
uncomfortable. I feel tense. I feel like I'm lying to myself. I have all these negative emotions. So while the words are beautiful and positive, the energy I'm sending out is highly negative.
Right.
So when you're working to change your mindset, again, it's very important for you to act as if you are already there. Be the best actor or actresses you can imagine and embody that thing that you want to create for yourself.
That is so true, because I think it was like Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich. He was talking about you have to have that burning desire and visualization. So that's that emotion, bringing the emotion into it.
It's definitely important.
So, how do we shift the emotion if we are saying something and we don't really believe it, and the emotion is coming across negative, like you were saying? Do you have a tool or a technique? How do you get to be happy every day? Like you're laughing, you're smiling, you're beautiful, and it's like you're glowing with happiness. So what do you do? Do you do a morning routine to make yourself happy, or?
I got to tell a funny story. I probably am the happiest person I know. And it's awesome. It wasn't always this way, but through a lot of self-healing and a lot of reading and a lot of self-work, I got here. And I got to tell you, probably 2 out of 7 days, I wake up laughing.
Oh,
I
cute.
laugh in my sleep, and I wake myself up with my laughter. And that started happening maybe like 5 years ago. And it's just the most precious gift from the universe. I don't know how that got developed in me, but when I first noticed that I'm waking up because I'm laughing, it's just so amazing. It's beautiful. But going back to your first question was, how do you change it when you have all these negative emotions as you're trying to create that other thing, that other new thought? Is being willing to take a step back. Most of us, when we have a goal that we want to achieve it yesterday,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Not too many people are willing to take the time and the energy to start from the beginning and cultivate that thing as they continue to practice. So if you are working on self-love, for example, and you started with, I hate myself, going straight to I love you is not going to work. It's going to
Right.
backfire on you, and it will only reinforce, here's another thing that works for everybody but me. Something's wrong with me. And we don't
Mm,
want that. So be willing to start from the beginning. If I love you doesn't sound good, or I love me doesn't sound good, what if you were to try, I'm willing to love myself? How does
mm,
that feel different from I love me, liar, 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 pants on fire, to I'm willing to love myself? Oh, I am willing, right?
mm, mm-hmm.
So when you go for the I love me and you send all those negative energy off, it's damaging. But when you go to I'm willing to love me, your mind's like, yeah, we can probably try to work on that. And the energy you send out is neutral. Going
Right.
from negative energy to neutral is highly positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as you get more and more comfortable with I'm willing to love me, then you can go up to I'm ready to love me.
Mm.
I'm committed to loving me. I mean, the words you use are so important, and they can really step those things up for you until you can look at yourself and you say, I'm freaking awesome. Right.
There you go.
And it is possible. And for some people, I would imagine myself, I did not have this tool when I was a teenager, but I would imagine myself going from that strong self-hatred to I'm willing to love myself would probably be a stretch for me back then.
Mm-hmm.
So a total beginner step that I teach my client is I'm willing to know it's possible for me to love myself.
And that could work in any arena of life.
Yes.
I'm willing to be happy. I'm willing to be successful, or
Hmm.
anything. Yeah.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Just having that willingness is holding space for miracle to happen for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you say I'm willing versus I can't, how does that feel differently? Or I'm not, it feel completely different. So just changing your words really can start changing your mindset, therefore your reality.
Yes, it's very important. And your mind doesn't pick up on negative sometimes too. When you say, I can't do it, it's not so much the language as it's the feeling, that tightness and stuff like that.
Right. And in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, we're taught that in order for your mind to understand the command that you're giving it, it has to be able to make some kind of representation of it visually.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, going to what you're saying, we'll just have some fun with us and then with the listeners later. Go ahead for a moment and make a picture of you holding onto a cup of coffee. Can you do that easily?
Yes.
Very easily. Now make a picture of don't spill the coffee. Can you do
Oh,
that?
God. I'm walking and it's sloshing and it's spilling.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And, when I bring this up with my clients, they say, well, of course I can make that picture. I'm holding the cup really tightly. I'm like, no, that's a picture of you holding onto the cup tightly. That is not don't spill the coffee.
Right.
So when you give a command that your mind couldn't really make a picture of what it is, it'll make pictures of what it can. So the pictures that it can in the statement of don't spill the coffee is spill and coffee.
Right.
So the picture it makes is spilling coffee, right? And all of a sudden you have spilled coffee and you wonder why. And same with emotional commands. So if you're angry with somebody and you say, I don't want to be angry, well, that sounds really good. You might have no clue what you want and it cannot really make that picture. So the picture it can make from the I don't want to be angry is I and angry.
Yes.
So the command you gave it is, I want to be angry. And all of a sudden, again, your emotion boil and erupts and it goes nowhere good.
Right. And sometimes people don't know that their language is what's causing this emotional stress when they say, I don't want to be angry at you anymore. And yet they're still screaming and yelling because they keep saying, I want to be angry at you.
Exactly. And then they get more frustrated because they're like, but I don't want to be angry, but you're making me angry.
Yeah, right.
And when you say statements like that, or when you have those thoughts, are you taking 100% responsibility for your own emotions?
No, you're
No.
usually blaming it on somebody else, and
Right.
you're thinking they're doing it to you, and you're not realizing that you're the one that's projecting your emotion. Yeah, that's so true.
I love this topic. It is so much fun, right? But
I know.
going back to what you just said is, like when you think it's somebody else doing it to you, where is the power in that? How can you take control and correct that situation?
I would almost think you would have to stop and pause and go, oh, I'm projecting my anger onto you. And this way you're saying, oh, I'm taking responsibility now for my anger.
Exactly. You have to take that step to recognize I have responsibility to myself and to my emotions, right? Because if I say, you are making me angry, I gave you all of my power. I
Mm-hmm.
basically say, here, take my power and tell me how to be. Oh, you want me to be angry? I will be angry. I have no control. But when you recognize, you know what? I caused this anger for myself. I'm experiencing this anger because of my thoughts, because of my belief system, because of past experiences. And in this moment, even though this situation isn't ideal, in fact, it could be downright awful. But in this moment, I still can take control of my emotions and I can choose to have the emotion I want for myself. And if I choose to be happy, I need to let go of some of this right now. That doesn't mean, gloss over things and let people walk all over you. It's just
Right.
recognizing that in this moment, if you push, nothing's going to get resolved. So be willing to just take a pause, take care of you, do the things that recharge and energize you. And then when you feel better, revisit that situation. Have a calm conversation. Be compassionate in how you communicate. And that is the way that you can really get yourself across in a way that people will actually understand and they might actually be willing to participate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're yelling or screaming or not listening, no one is listening to you either.
True.
All that energy you're throwing out is for nothing.
That is so true. So this has been really insightful. So I'm just kind of curious because we've been talking emotions a lot. So what does an abundant mindset mean to you?
Abundant mindset just mean knowing that anything and everything is possible and just really focusing on what on the positive on the positivity of every single situation. So an example for me with the abundant mindset is really, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, so there are moments that could be kind of scary, right? Where maybe the phone haven't been ringing and it's been a day or two since you have a new client consultation. And for a lot of people, they would go into fear. They would go into fear and self-judgment. What's wrong with me? Is my business not good enough? Am I not good enough? Do I need to discount my services in order to get more people? And a lot of people, they would panic and they would send out those emails or go on social media and say, fire sale sessions with me for $10, right? And I've seen that.
Excuse me.
No worries.
Oh my goodness.
I've
can't
seen
believe
that.
That choked me up.
But but people do that when they don't have that abundant mindset. They have that scarcity mindset. It's like, oh no, this is going to be the end of my business and the end of myself. One of the mantras that I use for myself in my business is I'm provided for. That's my abundant mindset. And I love that because when I get into that state, and I used to get into that state, a lot in the beginning of my business, where again, the phone haven't been ringing and I'm like, okay, deep breath. And then I go into, I'm provided for, I'm provided for, I'm provided for. And I keep repeating, I'm provided for. And the tone of voice and the cadence of all that is so incredibly calming. And I practice that so much that I truly believe it. Mm-hmm. And I see it in my reality all the time. And so rather than going into fear mode and doing the fire sale, I'm going, all right, I'm going to the beach, right? I have a day off. I have a week off. I'm going on vacation. I'm going to recharge myself. I'm going to do those things that really makes me happy. And then the next week or the next day, my phone would ring nonstop and I'm scheduled for 2 months solid. And so it's really about recognizing that the universe will provide for you, and that you do have the energy and the ability to call that into your life. It's whatever emotion, whatever energy you put out is the message you're sending out to the universe that this is what I want, give me this. And so when you go into that fearful mindset and, you're afraid of your business gonna, tank because of this, what are you asking the universe? You're asking the universe to give you that experience of your business failing. And then no matter where you look, you'll see evidence of that, because that's how your mind works. You gave it a command to show you that your business is failing, and your mind will only show you evidence of that. And it's going to ignore all the other evidence of the business is okay. Actually, that one thing, the business is improving, So be really careful and be really aware of the commands that you're giving and what energy you're giving out to the universe at all time.
I love that. That is so true. And the other part I like is looking for signs. When you're saying my business is failing and you're looking for proof that it's not working, then you were talking about flipping it and looking for proof that it is working, and then going to the beach and just relaxing. That's like the best thing.
But
because you've let go, you've surrendered and say, okay, I know I'm provided for. I have trust and faith. Now that to me is trust and faith. That's like the key right there. Knowing that you're provided for, having the faith and trust, go to the beach, relax, enjoy yourself. And then the next week, you're totally swamped for 2 months.
It's been working really well for me. And, in the beginning, when I started practicing that, it was scary. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, oh, I just learned this and it was perfect from day one. Absolutely not. It was scary when my husband was the one that really pushed me to embrace this abundant mindset. He has such a beautiful, abundant mindset. And when he was first teaching me and encouraging me to do this, I'm like, I can't. I have to sit here and I have to do this and I have to do that. And he's like, says who? Like,
oh, that was a good question.
Exactly. Yes. And he does that to me all the time. Who told you that? And I'm like, oh, I told myself that. So if I told myself that, I can tell myself something different, couldn't I?
Yes, exactly. That is
Yeah.
so true.
And in the beginning, when I was practicing the abundant mindset, I was living in California and going to the beach, and I couldn't be at the beach more than 15 minutes. But 15 minutes is better than sitting at my desk freaking out. And
Right.
eventually I practiced, a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Then I was able to go on vacation. But that did not happen right off the bat.
Right. And what's funny too is some days, like not long ago, I went to the dentist and they were running late. And then I noticed I was getting frustrated. And the more frustrated I got, the later the dentist ran. And then I'm like, oh, today's a wasted day. I've wasted an hour sitting here waiting for the dentist. And I had that mindset all day. So guess how my day went?
Not that great, right?
No. And I'm like, what did I do to myself? I had a
Exactly.
terrible, non productive day. And I go, okay, that was a good learning. Don't go to the dentist. No, I'm kidding.
And as your teeth are falling off. No,
So,
don't do that. Take
yeah.
control of your mind, because at the dentist, you're sitting there waiting. What else could you do in that moment that would be relaxing for yourself or productive if you want to be productive? There's so many things you can do, right? You have those options.
Yes, you could chant your positive affirmation. I'm
Mhm.
willing to love myself, or, set your goals. I mean, you could do many things in that
Right?
time.
And it could be something as simple as listening to your favorite music. Maybe you don't have all the time to listen to your music because you're so busy at work or with family, or this is your social media time or catch up reading time, whatever it is. You have the ability to maximize your time however you see fit, in a positive way or a negative way. You have that choice. But
Yes.
the cool thing about that is you have to put your energy somewhere. It can't be just blank nothing. So your energy in any moment could be focused on the negativities or focused on the positivities. And if you start choosing to focus on the positive of every single situation that you're in, what do you get to experience every day in your life?
Joy and happiness.
And you might even wake up laughing like I do.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, this was so insightful. Well, I have loved our conversation, and we're getting a little bit close on the end of our time. So, how can our listeners find you, and do you have a gift for them?
Definitely. So you can find me at JacquiLetran.com, and it is JacquiLetran.com. And I mentioned the 5 simple question book. So what I would love to do is just put up those 5 questions for you, since we haven't had a chance to talk about it. I think they're so easy to use that could really help people to understand their emotions and how to take charge of it.
Mm.
So you can find that at JacquiLetran.com/5 simple questions.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And then, do you have one tip that you can leave with our listeners can leave with that they can put into action today?
Yes, definitely. So being in charge of your mind and going from a negative emotion to being happy is probably not going to work for most people, right? It's just like overwhelmingly too big of a challenge. So if you have a negative emotion like angry, or you're sad, or you're scared, and you try to go all the way to happy, again, your mind will fight you. That energy you give off is probably going to be negative. So the place that I recommend my clients go to first is calm. Calm is like
Mm,
a reset, right? So from any emotion, going to calm is not a huge stretch, but going from angry to happy, that's a huge stretch. Going from
right.
fear to happy, huge stress, and you stretch. But going from fear to calm is very doable. So what I recommend my clients doing is, again, remember your subconscious mind is always waiting for that command from you and will deliver that experience to you. So first start off with recognizing your emotion. What is it that you're feeling? So let's say you're feeling sad in this example. Recognize it and acknowledge it. Don't pretend you're not sad, because when you pretend, that thing's just gonna grow bigger and bigger. We've all had that experience where we just try to stuff things away and stuff things down, and it fester, right? And so recognizing your emotion and saying out loud or to yourself, even though I'm sad, I choose to be calm. How does that
Mm-hmm.
feel immediately, just choosing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would repeat, I choose to be calm a few times just to kind of set your mind to that state. And then start repeating over and over and over again. I am calm. I am calm. I am calm. Use your calming voice, use a calming cadence. And as you're saying, I am calm, in your mind, imagine yourself doing whatever it is that calms you down. If it's laying out on the beach, as you're saying, I am calm, see yourself at the beach. Feel the
Mm-hmm.
sun on your body, smell the salt in the air, maybe see a bird or two flying overhead, right? And if it calms you down to pet your cat, imagine yourself petting your cat. Whatever works for you to calm you down, imagine yourself doing that thing. That would change the energy that you send out, and so that it will match that calmness for you. And then once you're calm, then pick your next emotion, right? So now you're sad and you're calm and you want to be happy. From calm to happy is a lot easier than from
Mm-hmm.
sad to happy. So the next time that you get a negative emotion, get excited. This is your opportunity to practice going to that calm space. Because think about it, like when chaos is happening outside your life and you're there and you're calm, what are you going to be able to do for yourself and for those people?
All kinds of stuff.
All kind of good stuff, right? Versus all kind of negative stuff and throwing fuel into the fire, making the situation worse. You have the ability to stay calm and assess the situation for what it really is, come up with solutions, and start taking steps toward those solutions, versus allowing the chaos to draw you in, to bring you into overwhelm, just like the dentist day, and then the rest of your day was all messed up because you allow those emotions to control you versus controlling your own emotions.
Mm-hmm. That is a great tip. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I really thank you for being on the podcast, Jacqui. And it was really fun.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, yes, I had a great time. This is something I can talk about all day long.
I know, it's so much fun. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Uh-huh.